In July of 2022, Sakiyna Thompson flew to South Florida from New York for a woman-to-woman talk with her love rival, 23-year-old Kayla Hodgson. They had been fighting over social media, and Thompson was reportedly jealous that the other woman was dating her ex-boyfriend. After she was blocked by Hodgson on social media, Thompson showed up to her Tamarack apartment. She'd made efforts to cover her tracks and conceal her identity. On the morning in question, she wore a COVID-19 mask and used a fake Uber account when she headed to Hodgson's address. After making her way into her rival's home, Thompson stabbed her over a dozen times, killing her. She then cleaned up the scene and changed into the victim's clothes before leaving the residence. Thompson, who was in her late 20s and 2 months pregnant at the time, was subsequently arrested and charged with Hodgson's murder. She would claim during the legal proceedings that followed that she'd acted in self-defense. Thompson said in court, "I killed her because she took the glass from the hookah and slashed me across my stomach. I felt like she was trying to hurt my baby." Thompson claimed that she blacked out for most of the attack and regained consciousness to find that she'd killed her love rival. "I was walking in the blood," the woman recounted. Her defense would describe the incident as a mutual fight, but the prosecution's argument that Thompson had gone to the apartment with specific designs to confront and kill Hodgson prevailed. In October of 2025, she was found guilty of first-degree murder. Number 15. Morgan Stapp. On July the 8th of 2025, an Indiana mother of 7 was arrested on a felony charge of attempting to traffic her young daughter. On November the 1st of 2024, Morgan Stapp messaged a man on Snapchat and sent him multiple photos of her daughter. She told the user that he could abuse her in exchange for $400. She wrote, "Half now, rest after. I'll send my address. I do live alone and her dad is not in the picture." Snapchat flagged the message and reported the matter to the authorities. 10 days later, the FBI went to Stapp's Indianapolis home. The woman, who was at the time in her early 30s, told agents that she'd been hacked and had lost control of the Snapchat account. Stapp would later admit to a caseworker from the Indiana Department of Child Services that she'd lied, pointing out, "I wanted the FBI to leave." The admission was reported to the authorities, and detectives from the Metropolitan Police Department of Indianapolis obtained a search warrant for Stapp's Snapchat account. The investigation revealed that only Stapp's phone had been used to access the account. Between October the 29th and November the 1st of 2024, she'd sent out roughly 7,000 messages, including 81 that read, "Would you be interested in buying my nudes so I can get baby diapers?" Detectives then obtained a warrant for Stapp's phone, and the IP address registered to her home was the same as the one accessing the social media account. Number 14. Rickarlo Williams and Jahni Menzie-Samuels. In the summer of 2022, 19-year-olds Rickarlo Williams and Jahni Menzie-Samuels were both handed life sentences with respective minimum terms of 25.5 years at the Old Bailey in England. On December the 13th of 2020, the duo launched a vicious attack at a group of youths outside Debenhams in St Anne's shopping centre in Harrow, northwest London. Williams was carrying a Rambo knife and Menzie-Samuels was armed with a machete when they approached the group at the benches and attacked them without warning. 23-year-old Hussein Al-Sabri was hacked and stabbed to death. 2 male youths survived, one after sustaining 7 stab wounds while the other was left with an injury to his back. The attack on the former was so violent that the tip of Williams' knife broke off and remained embedded in his body. The crux of the dispute, as reported by prosecutors, was a Snapchat video that had been captured roughly 9 months prior. While Williams was on a bus, a group of youths taunted him, threatening that they would start swinging and calling him a. He and Menzie-Samuels carried out the bladed attack in retaliation. The duo was convicted of murder, attempted murder, wounding with intent, and possessing an offensive weapon. Menzie-Samuels' mother, Carleen Joseph, was also jailed for perverting the course of justice after trying to provide an alibi for her son by claiming he was with her at the time of the attack. Number 13. Irene Gu. 23-year-old Taiwanese influencer Irene Gu was leaving a movie theater in Taipei on July the 29th of 2025 when she was attacked by a former boyfriend, a man whom the authorities only identified via his surname as Liu. He dragged Gu into a stairwell, slit her throat, and then fled to his grandfather's house on the other side of the island. He was taken into custody by a police task force and confessed to the murder during interrogation, telling the authorities that he was trying to get back the £10,000 he'd supposedly lent Gu during their relationship. Aside from being an influencer, Gu worked PR at a nightclub called Rough in the capital, where Liu was a bodyguard. Gu previously left her career in banking to have the same schedule as him. After the breakdown of their relationship, Gu filed for a protective order in May and accused Liu of assaulting her. A few days before her death, she took to social media and shared a copy of the domestic violence complaint, cautioning Liu, "If you hit me, I'll go to the police," right? In a separate post, when asked why she didn't block her ex, Gu said, "Because he'll find me. He even asked my colleagues if I was at work, disturbing my co-workers." The young woman also noted, "Most importantly, I don't owe him money." The post was suspected to have further fueled Liu's rage towards Gu, culminated in him knifing her to death. Number 12. Annabelle Margaret Floren-Wyant. In the early hours of August the 1st of 2024, law enforcement in El Paso County, Texas, were asked to perform a welfare check at a home on the 13,000 block of Hallelujah Trail. While investigating the report, they discovered the body of 18-year-old Annabelle Margaret Floren-Wyant. She was dead on the bedroom floor with her underwear pulled down to her ankles and blood near her ear, but no other visible injuries. It was determined that she'd been strangled to death by 26-year-old Jorge Meza Alarcon Jr., a man she'd met on Snapchat. According to Meza Alarcon, he and Floren-Wyant had made an arrangement to have intercourse in exchange for money. The teen had been texting with a friend throughout the night and asked them to periodically check on her, after claiming that Meza Alarcon was weird. When the friend didn't hear back from the teen for 90 minutes, they raised the alarm with local authorities. According to Meza Alarcon's version of events, the teen struck him with the phone in the back of the head after they'd been intimate and as he was getting her money. The man gave police an iPhone 15 with a cracked screen and gold case, and he had visible facial injuries. He also claimed that he feared Floren-Wyant was setting him up for an ambush because she was texting throughout their meetup. Meza Alarcon, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner, claimed that after she attacked him with the phone, he put her in a Darcy choke and applied pressure to her neck until she was dead. The man, who had a history of strangulation attacks that included choking a dog to death, was charged with first-degree murder. Number 11. Madina Basaeva. After posing a seemingly innocuous dancing video, a Muslim woman from Moscow was flooded with death threats. In the summer of 2018, Madina Basaeva shared a 13-second clip as she danced in a yellow stripped crop top and matching pair of shorts, revealing part of her stomach in the process. Basaeva, who belonged to the Zakzesky community, was met with enraged reactions by fundamentalist Muslims who shared her ethnic background. The hateful comments included, among others, "Your naked belly button will cost you a lot," "Someone kill her already," and "When will you finally die?" It was unclear if the young woman reported the threats to the authorities, but she had expressed frustration towards such negative attention in the past, writing, "You don't like if I'm dressed. You don't like if I am undressed. It is impossible to satisfy you. Each and every one of you. Do you understand?" Number 10. Ryan Last. In the winter of 2022, California teen Ryan Last sent intimate photos of himself to a 20-year-old woman who'd flirtatiously approached him on Facebook. He would soon learn that he'd been catfished by a blackmail gang in West Africa. They initially demanded $5,000, threatening to release the photos, but then reduced the price to $150. Last, who was a student at Ann Sobrato High School in Morgan Hill, made the payment from his college fund, but the gang then asked for more money and pressured him relentlessly. Last's parents later reported, in the end he got so embarrassed and scared that he only saw one way out. Last was found dead in February of 2022. In a note written before his tragic passing, he apologized for not being smarter. A massive investigation ensued involving the San Jose Police Department and the FBI, with assistance from Mark Zuckerberg's Meta. 4 men from the blackmailing gang, including ringleader Alfred Cassie, were arrested years later by law enforcement in the Ivory Coast. On April the 29th of 2025, when Cassie was taken into custody, it was revealed that he still had the menacing messages he'd sent to Last on his phone. The Ivory Coast government was not in the practice of extraditing its citizens, therefore Cassie and his co-conspirators were expected to be prosecuted under Ivorian cybercrime statutes. Number 9. Naqibullah Habibzoi. On May the 31st of 2025, Awal Noor Kiftan, aged 34, told a friend that he was going to meet a woman outside his home in Bexar County, Texas. Shortly thereafter, gunshots rang out. Responding law enforcement found Kiftan unresponsive on the ground with multiple gunshot wounds, to which he later succumbed. While trying to establish a suspect, detectives became aware of incriminating posts made by 23-year-old Naqibullah Habibzoi. On TikTok, he claimed that the victim had his $31,000 in one post and said, "We never move on without taking our own revenge. And if you do something bad to us, something bad will happen to you," in other posts. As investigators dug deeper, they found that Habibzoi and Kiftan used to work together at a trucking company. On the day the victim was killed, Habibzoi was confirmed to have traveled from Houston to San Antonio. Kiftan's friend gave law enforcement the name of the woman he was supposed to meet, and she was tied to Habibzoi. In a phone call obtained by the police, Habibzoi admitted that he finished another man over a money debt and that he did it with his hands, adding that his heart is pleased and satisfied. Habibzoi was arrested for murder on August the 21st of 2025. Updates on the matter indicated that he was held without bond at the Bexar County Jail and that he maintained that his TikTok account had been hacked. Number 8. Kaitlin Leonor Castilleja. 4 weeks leading up to early March of 2019, Kaitlin Leonor Castilleja, aged 18, had been arguing with a girl in her mid-teens on social media. The fight was reportedly concerning Castilleja's ex-boyfriend, whom the other girl had also dated. In the early hours of March the 1st, Castilleja went to confront her love rival, accompanied by fellow 18-year-old Vivian Foster. The three knew each other from James Madison High in San Antonio, from which Castilleja and Foster had graduated in 2018. After sending the other team messages saying they wanted to fight her, the duo ambushed her outside her San Antonio home as she was returning from work. As the melee unfolded, the unnamed girl brandished a knife and attacked Castilleja and Foster. The latter suffered superficial wounds, but Castilleja was left in critical condition and died about an hour later. When first responders met the two wounded teens, they admitted that they'd been stabbed after jumping a girl at her house. The teen who delivered the knife strikes was taken to a juvenile detention facility and she faced murder charges. In spite of evidence indicating the duo had gone to the home to commit violence, Castilleja's aunt said that there was ongoing bullying on both sides. The woman added, "It's social media. There are so many factors that have contributed to this, and at the end of the day, whether it was wrong in all aspects, my niece had no intentions of hurting anyone." Number 7. Jaysohn Sykes. On September the 26th of 2025, teenager Jaysohn Sykes from Queens, New York City, surrendered to the 105th Precinct Station House the day after he was identified by the NYP as the main suspect in a recent murder. Earlier in the week, Sykes was reported to have shot and killed Menzie-Samuels, a boy in his early teens, outside a Springfield Gardens Dunkin' Donuts. Sykes reportedly confronted a group of which Samuel was a part, and the two traded punches moments before the shooting. Sykes was captured on CCTV fleeing with a pistol in hand. Both teens had been posting gang-related material on social media. Sykes posted about SMM, a subset of the Bloods gang, but it was unclear if he only had an affinity for the gang or an affiliation with it. In spite of his online activity, Samuel, who went by J2 Guns on Instagram, wasn't involved in any criminal activity according to his parents. His grieving mother blamed his death on social media, stating, "This phone is a devil. These kids, they talk too much on social media. They live on the phone, on social media, to hype themselves up, to look grown, to look big and bad." Number 6. Lorraine Maradiaga. In April of 2020, Texas teen Lorraine Maradiaga was arrested for making a terroristic threat, which was a third-degree felony. Maradiaga had recorded herself in a suburban Dallas Walmart, threatening to intentionally infect other shoppers with COVID-19 at the height of the coronavirus pandemic. In a Snapchat video captioned, "Not in the mood," Maradiaga told the camera, "I'm here at Walmart, about to infest every because if I'm going down, all you going down." The video later showed Maradiaga coughing in her car and saying, "If you want to get the coronavirus and die, call me." It remained unclear if the teen was positive, as she had just had a test done. The Carrollton Police Department arranged for Maradiaga's surrender, and she was arrested, with her bond set at $20,000 and with the added condition that she be quarantined for 21 days upon her release from custody. Number 5. Robert Davies. Leading up to the early summer of 2019, Robert Davies, a 40-year-old officer with the San Mateo Police Department in California, had been talking to a young woman online. The conversation began on Tinder, where the girl, who presented herself as Esther, claimed she was 19. Davis asked her if she wanted to have some fun tonight. When the conversation moved to Snapchat and KIK, Esther repeatedly told the cop that she was actually in her mid-teens, but it didn't deter him. They messaged each other back and forth for roughly 12 hours. Davis had, however, been catfished by Ethan, a San Francisco Bay Area college student. He'd used Snapchat's gender swap filter to pose as a girl on social media in an attempt to catch potential predators. Ethan, who didn't give his last name for fear of retaliation, had been inspired to do so after a friend told him she'd been abused in her youth. After talking with Davies under the fabricated identity, who reported the message to the Silicon Valley Crime Stoppers hotline, the authorities conducted their own investigation and executed search warrants on Davies' electronic devices and mobile apps. The man was ultimately arrested on June the 6th of 2019 and charged with contacting a minor to commit a felony. Number 4. Lucy Huxtable. A Florida high school student was taken into custody in January of 2025 after threatening violence over Snapchat. The Flagler County Sheriff's Office identified the suspect as Palm Coast resident Lucy Huxtable, who was at the time in her early teens. In a video posted to a publicly accessible Snapchat story for the high school, Huxtable made multiple racial slurs and specifically threatened to harm members of the LGBTQ+ community. Sheriff Rick Staley issued a stern warning in a Facebook post announcing Huxtable's arrest, highlighting that such behavior would not be tolerated. If you threaten to hurt or kill someone just because of what they look like, where they're from, or who they love, we will arrest you no matter how old you are. The case's outcome remained unclear, but the team was transported to the Volusia County Juvenile Detention Center in the aftermath of her arrest. Number 3. Megan Ashlee Davis. In the fall of 2025, a story started gaining traction on Facebook that showed the teary-eyed mugshot of a woman purporting that she was an Olive Garden waitress from St. Louis, Missouri. The post claimed that she'd been arrested for assault and disorderly conduct. She wasn't tipped after a couple ran up a large bill and supposedly hurled a basket of breadsticks at them, yelling, "Unlimited breadsticks doesn't mean unlimited free labor." The story was a complete fabrication meant to rage bait, but the mugshot was real. The young woman in the photo was Texas student Megan Ashlee Davis, who'd been arrested for public intoxication in August of that year. Davis said during an interview that she was tracked down and relentlessly harassed by online users as a result of the fake story. "It's probably like my worst nightmare coming to reality," the young woman recounted, adding, "People are disgusting out there and scary." Facebook had recently run rampant with fake stories after Meta, its parent company, stopped using third-party fact-checking in the US in April of 2025. Number 2. Emily Swinkowski. In November of 2023, a Mississippi art teacher was arrested after she was caught sending inappropriate content to a male student over social media. 27-year-old Emily Swinkowski had been investigated for several weeks in the lead-up to her arrest, according to District Attorney Jay Hale. The illicit communication, which reportedly involved Swinkowski sending nudes to the teen, happened during her employment at Water Valley High School. Another student became aware of the situation under unreported circumstances and notified the principal, who in turn raised the alarm with local law enforcement. Swinkowski resigned and surrendered to the authorities on November the 6th. Updates indicated that she was free on bond after she was charged with enticing and exploiting a minor. Number 1. Devin Katzfey, Branden Katzfey, and Sarah Zakzesky. On December the 19th of 2016, Delvin Mendoza Chaparro was found in an alleyway of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with his jeans pulled down, no shoes and no socks, while the weather outside was around 14 degrees Fahrenheit. The 20-year-old was later pronounced dead, and it was revealed that he had been severely beaten about the head and neck. 3 youths were arrested in the aftermath, namely Devin Katzfey, his brother Branden, and Sarah Zakzesky. They and the victim were smoking marijuana at Sarah's home in the 400 block of West Rogers Street earlier in the night. At some point, Devin accused Mendoza Chaparro of stealing drug paraphernalia. He grabbed him, dragged him to the kitchen, and began beating him with extreme brutality. Branden and Sarah joined in the attack, each hitting the victim a few times. Videos of the beatdown were captured by Devin and uploaded to Mendoza Chaparro's own Snapchat. One showed the battered victim lying near a doorway, and Devin, who appeared on camera, telling him, "You hear me? That's what happens when you try to steal." In addition to being struck repeatedly, Mendoza Chaparro was also forced to eat cat litter. Sarah drove Devin and the unconscious victim to the alleyway, where he was abandoned on a snowbank. In July, Sarah and Branden were jailed for 10 and 13 years respectively for first-degree reckless homicide as parties to the crime. As the principal perpetrator, Devin was sentenced on September the 8th to 27 years in prison and 13 years extended supervision. He apologized to the victim family in court, stating, "I want them to know that it never was meant to go that far." Thanks for watching. Would you rather live without social media or without fast food? Let us know in the comments section below.